Hello, my name is Ben Stewart, and I am the owner of SpeechWire Tournament Services. I'm really excited to be working with UIL on the academic series this year, and this video is going to go into how to enter results for your academic contest on SpeechWire. As an introduction, this will not go into in-depth running every round and entering every rank and debate result from speech and LD. That is documented in a PDF that is available from UIL that specifically goes into doing all you need to run every round of speech and LD in SpeechWire. However, you don't have to run every round of speech and LD in SpeechWire this year. You can run it offline. You can tabulate it in TalkTab. You can run it in another platform if you want to, and then type in just 1 through 6 for the eventual placements in your speech and LD events if you want. I am going to go over that in this video, but if you want to see the full in-depth how to run all of speech and LD using SpeechWire, please make sure to refer to that PDF, which again is available from UIL. Without further ado, let's go ahead and start looking at some of the tasks you will need in administering your contest. The first thing you'll see here is the SpeechWire homepage, which is what you see when you log in at manage.speechwire.com. And you select your meet from the UIL Meets drop-down box and then put in the username and password that you were sent from UIL as Meet Director. If you've lost that, need it again, you can contact UIL and they can provide that to you. You may also want some other folks to have access to this. They might be your contest directors, people helping you with tabulation. If you want, you can just share your manager credentials with them, but please don't share them with everyone attending the tournament, because anyone with those credentials will be able to enter scores, and only the people who you deem necessary should be able to have that access. The first thing you might need to do is update entries in your contest. If you need to do that, you can go ahead and click on the Teams button on the homepage. This is going to show you a grid which indicates all of the teams that are attending your contest. You'll notice that each of those teams has an Entries button. That is the button that we need to press. So I'm going to press the Entries button for the team that I want to modify. This is going to now show me their entries. This warning is just because I've begun tabbing debate, and it's warning me maybe don't change those debate names, but I'm not worried about that. We're just doing academics on this demonstration. So you'll see all of the events listed one by one, and you'll see all of the entries that this school has in those events. Let's say in theory that this school was going to be dropping Walter in editorial. So if we want to drop Walter, who is A04 in this event, we can go ahead and select drop, and that's going to now drop Walter from the contest. But we also may want to promote one of the substitutes to be an actual entry in the contest now. And we can do that by changing substitute 1 in the division dropdown to entry. And at this point, we may also want to go ahead and promote substitute 2 to substitute 1, just in case they need them later if there's another late drop. So we've got this set up to now drop Walter, turn Ted into an entry, and turn Paul into substitute 1. I can go ahead and click Update Entries, and it says, bingo, the entries for this team have been updated. And if we go ahead and look down at editorial, we will see that is the case. Ted is now an entry, and Paul is now substitute 1. That's now going to allow me, when I go to enter editorial, to put in results for Ted. As we approach the contest, you're going to want to print out your roster sheets, and that is something you can access in the Printing Center. It's actually the first report on the page. It's Rosters and Results Worksheets. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate the Current Issues and Events Rosters and Results Worksheet, but any of your events can be printed in this way, and you can actually print all of them at once by selecting All Groupings. In this context, SpeechWire's term grouping is synonymous with event. It's not really worth going into why there is a difference. It's not relevant to UIL. It's relevant to other contests. But just when you think groupings, think events. We're going to go ahead and select Current Issues and Events and click Print Rosters and Results Worksheets. So this is going to generate a page that looks like this. And you'll see that there is a column for the school, a column for the code, a column for contestant's name, and then there will be some form of columns for numbers after that. If there were any alternates in this event, in my test set I didn't put one in, they would be indicated in the scoring columns with a marking of alternate or substitute that would tell you that they were not full entries, that they are substitutes or alternates. But everyone else will have these boxes where you can write in scores. In this case, there is an objective box and an essay box. You can then print this sheet out by hitting Control P or Apple P, or right-clicking and clicking print, or file print, or whatever your browser may have on it to print this off and send it to your printer and make it a piece of paper. If you print more than one of these at a time, they will have page breaks between them. They might spill onto more than one page if you have lots and lots of entries, so just be cognizant of that. You might want to staple them together. Make sure to keep the event together and make sure not to leave any of the entrants off the bottom of the table. But the idea here is that this will work for both roll call, because you have your code, you have your contestant name, you have your school name, and also for writing results on it. So the contest director can write in the score from the objective test and the score from the essay if needed. In some cases, you may not score every essay. You don't have to fill in every single line. You just want to make sure to fill in the ones that are going to need to go in the computer. So that would be how you print off those roster sheets. I'm going to now go back, and I'm back on the printing center at this point. You'll notice at the top of every page there's a return to homepage link. That's a really easy way to get back to the homepage, which I'm going to do right now. And now I want to go ahead and enter results. And this button is very straightforward. It is labeled Enter Results. So you click Enter Results, and then we want to select which event we want to enter. You're going to have all of your academic events in this dropdown. You may not see speech and LD unless you are running all of the rounds of speech and LD using SpeechWire, which we are going to pretend we are not in this case. So just envision seeing only the academic events here. That's what you're going to see if you haven't scheduled all of speech and LD. And you want to select current issues and events round 1, which would be prelims, and then enter results. You're going to see here academic scoring judge is who we want to enter results for. So just go ahead and click on that. And that's going to open up that academic scoring judge's ballot. If you were running all of speech and LD, you'd see more than one judge. But in this case, all of the academic events have a quote-unquote academic scoring judge that we want to open up their ballot to put in their results. This is now ordered in the same way that your roster sheet was. So you've got in code order all of the entrants in current issues and events. And then you have a column for objective and a column for essay. I've filled in some arbitrary numbers here. These are probably not on the scale that we're actually looking at, but I just wanted to make sure this was working. So we have scores for the objective test, and then I've got scores for the essay test. You don't, again, have to put in scores for all of these. For instance, here's a 0 and no score for the essay. And then let's say we don't have an essay for Hazel. We don't have to put in a score for Hazel's essay there. SpeechWire should be applying all of the tie-breaking rules from the UIL manuals in the background. So we're collecting just the data points that we need in order to make those tiebreakers work. And you'll notice I left a bunch of these students blank. Those might be students who were no-shows. You can drop those also, and I think you're encouraged to do so. I showed you already how to drop entries. And if you need to, if there are students who are no-shows, the best way to make sure that they definitely don't factor into tabulation is to just drop them out of the tournament. However, if they're still here and you have them on your sheet and you don't have a score for them, you can leave them blank. But please keep in mind that a blank is different than a 0. A 0 would mean that they completed the test but didn't receive any points. And that would mean that they could qualify as part of a team. If they're blank, they're going to be viewed as someone who did not participate at all. So that's a big difference. And that mostly has to do with the first column, whatever the primary column is for tabulation. If they did not take part, you want to leave them blank. If they did take part and they earned a 0, you want to type in a 0. And the box will accept negative numbers as well. In some of the events, you're going to see an accuracy column. So here I have an essay column. If you have an accuracy column, you can put in a percentage. So in that case, you'd be able to put in something like, let's say this was an event that had accuracy. You could put in something like 95.5. That would mean that that student had a 95.5% accuracy. In an event like science, there will be some additional columns. And I'll show that really quickly, just because it's a little bit different. I'll go ahead back to quick results entry. I'm going to switch to science, and I'm going to pull that up. You'll see that there's a lot more columns in science, starting with the 3 most crucial ones, which would be their area scores in biology, chemistry, and physics. Those add up to their combined score, but they also feed into the top scorer in each of those areas. Then you can also put in accuracy scores. You don't have to, but if you need to break a tie in one of those areas, you can put in accuracy scores for bio, chem, and physics. And then there's also a combined accuracy score, which you can put in if you need to break ties. So all of these things are available to you. Again, for these tiebreaker columns, you don't have to type in every single one, but if you see ties that you need to break, you can certainly go back into enter results by going into enter results and selecting, for instance, current issues and events, and then going ahead and clicking on that to open it up, the academic scoring line, and then you've got your boxes here to put in some more results. So I could put in an 88 for Sonia with an essay score of 9. And again, this scale may not be what you're going to be using. So then we're going to submit the results, and that's that. We have now submitted our results in current issues and events. I also want to talk briefly about putting in your results for speech and LD. If you are not tabulating on SpeechWire, you would go to the homepage and click on Enter Results, and then you're going to look under Special UIL Results Tools. So if you're not scheduling every round of speech and LD on SpeechWire and you just want to type in a 1 through 6, then on this line that says Enter Overall Speech LD Placements, just click Enter Overall Placements. And then we're going to say we'll do informative. You'll see I've already done it here. Very uncreatively, I just had the first 6 people be first through 6th. Yours probably won't look that way. It's probably going to spread out just a little bit more. But in this way, you can go ahead and put in your 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th. That's all we need. Just put in the numbers 1 through 6, and that'll give us what we need to tabulate that event. If you're running every round in SpeechWire, don't use this page because it will override the results that you put in. This is literally just a way to lock in these placements and have these be the places that the students receive. And finally, I'll just touch on journalism real quick. Journalism, you tabulate like the other academic events. So you go to Enter Results, and then I'm going to go ahead over to Editorial, and we say Enter Results, and I'm going to click on that academic scoring judge. That'll bring up the ballot for editorial. And you'll see that we have all the spots to put in our ranks. So we're just going to, again, just like speech, put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, and say Submit Results. And there we go. We've scored editorial at this point. So we're scoring events, and events are moving along. And at some point, we're going to want to put in our computer science programming scores. The way to do that is also on the Enter Results page. You'll see there is a spot here for Enter Programming Scores. And if I go ahead and click the button Enter Programming Scores, I have a spot for each school in my contest, and then I have a spot to put in the programming score that that team received, that the computer science team from that school earned. Again, don't worry too much about the range. You can put in whatever number you need that would match up with the score they received in programming. And that factors into the tabulation for computer science awards. One more note on the results entry. Again, this would be the Enter Results button. There's a spot to enter CX and one-act play points. This is where you can put in the number of points earned by each school in cross-examination debate and also in one-act play. These would factor into your overall sweepstakes, and then CX debate also would factor into your speech team sweepstakes. So it's very important to make sure you've entered these numbers to make sure the schools receive credit for the points they earned in CX debate and also in one-act play. And you basically just type in the numbers and you save them. So we'll put a 6 in here. And there you go. I've saved that now. Okay, we've talked about entering all sorts of results, and now I want to talk about printing verification sheets. This is what you can use to allow coaches to verify the results in each event. You can go to Printing Center, and then right below that first report we talked about is the verification report, the second report on the page. Again, you can select all the groupings at once or all the events, or you can do one event at a time. We're going to do current issues and events for our purposes, and I'm going to print that verification report. So what this is doing for me is it's showing me the placement order in the contest, and then it's showing me all of the scores from the contest as well. I didn't pay too much attention to how I entered this, so I'm not sure in practice if it's going to be looking exactly the same. You might have only entered the essay scores for a certain subset of the entries, or you might have only entered some of the tiebreakers if there was actually a tie on the first criterion. But you can see that in this tabulation, we're totaling up the scores, and then we have the essay score here to break ties if we need to. You'll also see that we have a column for points. Right now, I have engineered a tie, which you may or may not have. Some events might allow them, other events might not. But you'll notice that in this case, it is taking the 6 points for 5th place and the 4 points for 6th place, adding them together and dividing by 2 as per the rules, and awarding each of those students 5 points. But we have 15 points for our first place. They're advancing to region. You can see who else is advancing to region, and you can see who the alternates are as well. A little bit further down, you can see the team results. So you can see our 3 teams. This is going to show any teams that were eligible. So any teams that met the participation standard, they're going to show up here with their team score. And then it's also going to show the points that they're receiving, and then advancement. So the top team advancing to region, the second team being the alternate, and then this is the third team. They scored vastly fewer points, but we see their score anyway just for verification purposes. Again, you can print this out, Control-P, File Print, right-click Print, whatever you do in your web browser to print that out. Go ahead, send that to the printer, and then send that over to verification so your coaches can take a look at it. I do want to show you also how to view the overall sweepstakes. And I just hit the back button to go back to the printing center, by the way. That's how I did that. If you close the window, oops, all you got to do is open it up again, go to manage.speechwire.com and log in once more. You'll end up back on the home page. And at that point, if we want to take a look at the overall tabulation, once we get more and more events in, it will be live. You can go to View Tab Sheets. And underneath sweepstakes tab sheets right here, it's the second spot on the page. You've got UIL results calculation. I'm going to go ahead and click calculate UIL results. This is going to be my overall sweepstakes. You'll notice I've got some fractional parts here. That's because I was pretty uncreative when I entered my numbers and I engineered a lot of ties by accident or on purpose. You will probably see vastly fewer of those, but it is doing some dividing up of points where needed. You'll see that this overall totals by school. This is in fact the overall team score, or excuse me, the overall school score for each school. So this is all their points summed together, individual, team, one act play, otherwise, all that summed together shows up in this column. They're sorted in order of point total. You do want to take a look, see if there are any ties. So check those first 2, see if they're tied. In this case, they are certainly not. So we have, assuming we've tabulated the whole contest, which you want to make sure you have, we do have our top school here. You can then dig down further. This is going to be a summary of the top 6 in each event. Again, you'll notice that there are some weird ties in this contest because I was testing, but you can see this way all of the different placements in all of your contests. This is just going to show you the top ones. If you wanted to see all of them, you need to look at the verification sheet, which was in the printing center. If you dig even further down, you're going to see the team placements. So here we have breakdowns of all the team placements. Here I did break this out further so you can see all of the team scores. You're going to notice, for instance, that in accounting, we had a tie. We have a tie for second place, 237, but wait, only one of them is getting 5 points. And the reason for that is it did break the tie internally by using the 4th person's score in that event. So the first 3 scored team points to be part of that team score, and then the 4th was the tiebreaker. And that would again be something that could be checked on the verification sheet. If we dig even further down, we've got our journalism and speech team contests. Right now, I've only got that showing 2. I'm probably going to extend that out in the next day or 2. So you'll probably end up see all of the placements here so you can verify it. But again, this would be all of the journalism points for the school added together to form the journalism team score. And then the same thing for speech. And just as a reminder, those CX points that you enter on that special spot on the enter results page, those do feed into that speech team placement. So make sure that you put in those CX points or at least verify that they're there. Digging even further down, we can see our science top scorers. So you can see who the top scorers were in science. I'm going to be putting the science top scorer tabulation on the verification sheet, so that'll break it down a little bit further. But this shows you who those top scorers were and what their scores were. And then finally, just as a summary at the bottom of the page, we've got our CX debate points and our one act play points that were put in on that special page on the enter results page. So again, the way I got to this great big breakdown of all the results in my tournament was I went to Printing Center, strike that, I went to View Tab Sheets, And then I used the calculate UIL results button. This can be a nice way to just verify your word scripts. If you're writing up a word scripts, you got your names, you got your schools, you've got your point totals, you've got your team points down here. You can bounce around up and down. You can use the verification sheets too. That's totally fine. But this is a good way to just get the results of your contest. And then finally, we're going to talk about how to post your results. So the way that you would post the results is by going to the home page and then clicking Posting Center. And then you've got a button here that says Post UIL Results. So if I go ahead and click on that, I now see that I have a spot where I can post the results from each of my contests. Let's say, I know I just worked on current issues and events. Let's say it's been verified, and I want to go ahead and post the results publicly. This is publicly for current issues and events. Go ahead and click on it, give it a second, wait for this green box to appear. And then if you were to go to postings.speechwire.com, where I'm going to very briefly be adding a big banner for UIL results, you'd have access to then this page. 7A is obviously not a real conference. That's where my test meet is. So I'm going to click on 7A, and I'm going to go to District 1. And then I want to see the results from current issues and events. And there we go. So this is what I was just seeing in verification. It's going to be the same format as verification. And this just takes that verification information and it goes ahead and posts it. Very simple. I can bounce through other events if I want to. So take a look at accounting. Right now I've only posted 4 of the events. As they get posted, more of them will get added to the list. And I do, back in the management area, intend to add a button to update all the postings at once. If, for instance, you just didn't post anything till the end of the contest, you could just post all the available results right at the end. But if you wanted to post during the contest, this gives you the ability to do so. That's about all I wanted to go through. I already talked longer than I wanted to. I'm sorry for that, but I wanted to give you the detail that I could to try and make sure that you had what you need to run the contest. If you need to, you can contact the UIL office with any questions. And if they need to consult me about any of that, they'll go ahead and get in touch with me and we will figure it out. But go ahead, and if you need assistance, reach out to the UIL office and see what they can do to help you. And if necessary, I'll get involved and help too. But again, I'm really excited to work with you. I appreciate your time watching this video, and I hope it was helpful. Thank you again, and good luck.